Husband Anthony and wife Clara have been married for 20 years. She is now 40, he is 45. Since they married, Clara has never had to work, as Anthony's income from his used car business has always been more than enough for their needs. Anthony is a talented negotiator and rarely walks away without a favorable deal. He is happy with his wife and their monogamous lifestyle, and has always assumed that she is happy with this arrangement as well. He has always found their sex life, although not as active as it was in the early years of their marriage, to be in good shape. They still make love once or twice a week, although Clara has never provoked them. She does not seem very interested, and rarely experiences pleasure, although Anthony tries to induce it in her. One night, lying in bed, Clara turned to Anthony and said, "Anthony, I want more love, and I want more exciting love." Anthony was surprised, for Clara had never before made it clear that she was not satisfied with their lovemaking. "If you're not satisfied with what we're doing, why don't you take the initiative and tell or show me what you want, and I'll be happy to do it." She was silent for a few minutes, then said, "Please don't be angry. The thing is, I don't want you to do anything else. I want to make love to someone else. I met a man, and for the past few months, we have been meeting for lunch, going out, going to movies and other places while you are at work. He is a very nice man. He is in love with me, and I think I am in love with him. He wants me to live with him and eventually marry him." Anthony held back the urge to yell at her, took a deep breath, and exhaled slowly before asking, "Have you made love to him?" "No," she replied. "I wanted to, but he said we shouldn't until we were married, or at least until you and I were divorced. In fact, he wants to set up a meeting with you so you'll let me go to him and file a no-fault divorce. He's willing to pay you to let me go." "What? He wants to buy you?" said an incredulous Anthony. "Yes, exactly," she answered. "He says it would be wrong to steal another man's wife, but it would be fair to buy her." "What kind of a clown is that? Are you sure he's all right in the head?" Anthony asked. "Of course he's all right in the head," she said. "He's just a very honest and sensitive man, and he doesn't want to take advantage of you. He said he would also pay all your divorce costs." "He must be very rich, that man," Anthony said. "He is quite well off, but not very rich, just wealthy," she replied. "How much is he offering for you?" Anthony asked. "That's something you'll have to talk to him about," she replied. "He wants to come here tomorrow night and discuss it with you." "He's brave. You've got to hand it to him. Isn't he afraid I'll do something to him?" he asked. "Don't be silly," she said. "You're not the violent type, and anyway, he's much bigger than you, including his manhood." "How do you know that if you didn't have love with him?" Anthony asked. "We've been swimming a few times, and his underwear leaves no doubt," she replied. "So you want to leave me after 20 years?" he said. "Weren't those good years, didn't they mean nothing to you?" "Yes, they were good years," she replied. "But they have become quite ordinary, and I feel the desire to move on. I want to enjoy tumultuous love again while I'm still young enough to appreciate it." "So what time is this Wonder Man coming to see me tomorrow?" Anthony asked. "About 7 o'clock in the evening," she replied. "May I tell him that you agree to meet him?" "Yes, and tell him not to stay here too long," he said. "Now I suggest you get up and go sleep in the guest room before I kick you out of my bed." Anthony lay awake most of the night. His world had just been turned upside down. He was no longer as much in love with his wife as he had been in their early years together, but he was comfortable with her and enjoyed her presence. From what she said, he decided that she was going to leave him anyway, whether he agreed to her boyfriend's strange proposal or not. Then she would go to live with him and make her more exciting love. In the end, Anthony decided that if he was going to lose her, he should get the best deal he could. After all, he was a used car salesman, and a very successful one at that. He would make sure he got a good deal. The next evening, when Thomas, that was the potential buyer's name, came to the house, Anthony refused to shake his hand, saying, "In my experience, A handshake should be done when the deal is done, not before it starts. Clara looked at the two men and said, "Well, I think I'll leave you two to deal with this matter. I have my bag packed and ready to leave with Thomas when you come to an agreement. In the meantime, I'll wait in the back room." "No, Clara," Anthony said. "You must stay with us and see what is agreed upon. You are fully involved in this affair, which will decide your future. But I cannot allow you to take part in the discussions, so please remain silent during the negotiations." Then all three walked to the dining room and sat down at the large table, Clara on one side, the two men on the other. "So," said Anthony, "you want my wife, and you want to pay me to divorce her and let you have her for yourself. Is that right?" "Yes, that's right," Thomas said. "Clara and I both want that, although I should add that Clara has told me that she is willing to leave you and live with me. I would not be satisfied with that, however, as I do not think it would be fair to you, and I want her to come to me legally. I am sure we can come to a fair agreement on how much you want to release Clara for, so I would like to offer you $100,000. Anthony said. "I think that's a ridiculous offer. Is that really all you think my wife is worth? She's an attractive model, as I'm sure you've noticed, with a good body, and she has at least another 20 good years ahead of her if you look after her and treat her right. Add to that the fact that she's only had one caring owner, and I think she should be worth at least £250,000. "No, that's far more than I'm willing to pay," Thomas replied. "I think you are being unreasonable. After all, you have used it for 20 years and it has served you well, but you can't guarantee it will last as long for me. I still think $100,000 is a fair offer, but I am prepared to increase it to $110,000 if we agree tonight." "No, I can't give her away for that," Anthony said. "But I understand you. Her bodywork is still in pretty good shape, but that's the way it should be for the amount of money I've spent on maintenance over the last 20 years. With care, there shouldn't be too much deterioration in the next 20 years, but there's no warranty on the mechanics, and you can't be sure of any hidden defects or future problems that may arise. And then there's depreciation. Taking all this into account, I might be able to discount you from the asking price, say $20,000, bringing the price to $230,000 cash. Don't forget also that you can get a decent amount of money for it if you want to sell it in the future or swap it for a newer model. I might even be interested in taking it back for myself if the price is right and it's not abused or overused. Either way, this is my final offer. I need a deposit if I'm going to replace her with a new one, or at least a younger model that I have my eye on. No, if you don't want it or can't afford that price, it's not for sale. Take a few minutes to think about it. I know it's a big decision, but it's up to you. I was happy to keep her and take care of her myself until you came along and wanted to make a deal." Thomas looked at Clara, then at Anthony, then back at Clara. "Give me a few minutes to think about it," he said. "If you don't mind, Anthony, I'm going to take a little walk in the fresh air. You've given me a lot to think about, and a breath of air might help." "Of course," Anthony said. "Just don't take too long. There may be someone else looking at it, and if they come with a firm offer on my terms, I'd be a fool not to accept it." Thomas went outside and returned 15 minutes later. "Have you made your decision?" Anthony asked. "Yes, I have," replied Thomas. "I've decided not to buy it after all. I think the risks outweigh the possibilities, and I might be a fool to make an offer at all, so I'm afraid I'll have to leave it with you. I wish you both well. Goodbye, Clara. I don't think we should meet again." And with these words, he shook Anthony's hand and walked away. "Well, dear," Anthony said when he and Clara were alone, "I may not be the best lover, nor the most energetic, but I still love you, and I think we should give our marriage a second chance. What do you say?" "Yes, please," Clara said. "I think my eyes just opened for the first time in months." "Okay," Anthony said, But if you ever repeat this stunt with another man, you will be consigned to the scrapyard without a second thought. Now get into bed and get ready to meet me. I think I have something to prove. Subscribe to our channel to keep your partner from cheating on you, and listen to the next story because this story is nothing compared to the next.